What's going on, guys? BIZYZE here. In today's video we are going to make a tier list for the current patch for low elo and high elo. I will show you what are the best champions that are currently in this current patch notes. Let's get started. Vayne, she's a pretty decent champion if you really look at her win rates, and I did my research a little bit on looking at different websites, whether it's Lolalytics, DPM, Blitz and other things. I think that she is not that bad. I mean, statistically speaking, she's definitely a champion that, you know, can be played. So if you enjoy her as a secondary or third champion, I wouldn't have her as my main, but she's currently set in B tier. I think if you're asking challenger players, what they will tell you is that Vayne is always good if you can survive lane. Like if they have Twitch, Ezreal or champions that can't stomp you, can't push you, can't really bully you in the lane, you can always consider taking this champion. If they have Draven, Miss Fortune, Varus, Jhin, things that can push you very easy and win the lane phase, it's usually better to not pick her. Let's take a look at the next one, Seraphine. Seraphine, honestly, I mean, she's more like a counter pick if you need APs, and you also need to have like a Kindred jungle or like a top lane that is like an AD, like a Jace or a Corki mid or Tristana mid lane. It's pretty niche pick, and I would say that she's probably A tier, but I don't really recommend her for low elo. Kai'Sa is actually pretty decent in this meta. I think that she was in S tier in the last patch. Obviously, we did read the patch updates that she got nerfed. But she also got nerfed alongside with other AD carries, but I totally think she is still S tier. I mean, I guess some people would argue that she's the best champion A tier, but I would personally put her in S tier. I don't disagree with you if you're saying that she's still A tier and she's the best champion in A tier, but I personally think she's S tier. Kai'Sa, she's pretty decent for low elo. She's not one of my top recommendations for low elo if you are below Emerald and you want to learn the game and you want a champion that is rewarding, that is going to show you and make you learn the game faster. I think Kai'Sa is not my top recommendations, but if you really like her, she's not a bad champion in the current meta and she's not really that hard, so definitely better than the Vayne. Zeri in this meta, I do feel like she's actually really good. She didn't really get a lot of nerfs, and I feel like in this specific meta, just going for the Yuntal build, she can actually be fine. I prefer her for high elo. I do think that she's very playable. So if you're a main Zeri, I do think that she's an A tier. Would I main her really, or would I just have her as a secondary champion? I mean, if you're really good on her, you can win games in low elo with Zeri. She's actually quite reasonable and A tier, but I would personally keep her as secondary champion, and I would try to main a different champion that will help me to, you know, learn the game. Because if you're super high elo, Zeri has a lot of bad matchups in Grandmaster Challenger. If you're low elo or Emerald or Gold or Silver, you want to make sure you have some champions that will also make you learn the game, and you want something that is actually allow you to play aggressive, allow you to be able to do something aggressively. And this is why I recommend stuff like Caitlyn. Caitlyn is not actually one of the best champs for low elo. It's not top of my recommendations, but she can play aggressive and she has a lot of range, and she pushes you to test your limits. She pushes you to play aggressive in the lane. She pushes you to get that CS advantage. I do rate her a little bit worse than Zeri, to be completely honest with you, but I think she's still very playable right now. Is her my top recommendation for a main champion if you want to play a champion that will help you to learn the game, be rewarding, and will truly also like be good in the meta? I don't think so. She's a bit hard for low elo. For high elo, she's a bit of a niche pick. Like if you're super good on her, you can pick her with Lux, with Karma, with Morgana. There are different matchups, but my top recommendations for super low elo is Miss Fortune, and I think Miss Fortune is the best champions hands down on this tier list. Maybe I should make a god tier, but I personally think that she is very good. If you're low elo, if you're high elo, this champion is always been very consistent. If you really check the last patch notes, she's been in A tier or worst case B tier. So if you're maining her for the next 3 to 6 months, I personally think that she should be fine as a main champion to play it in most cases. There are obviously some tanky matchups that you can, you know, it's a bit harder to play. There is the build with First Strike and Lethality. There is the Axiom Arc build. There is the First Strike build. There is the PTA build. There is also even a Bloodthirster into Collector build right here that has a reasonable win rate. Like, there are different playstyles, and even against tanks, I think she's fine. If you're low elo, she's definitely a champion that you should consider playing, because not only that she's good in the meta, she helps you to win the game. Because she's super good, and she actually helps you to learn the game because she's easy. Karthus, I mean, I don't really care about Karthus, Ziggs, Veigar. They're all A tier. I feel like even Brand is probably B tier. But all of these AP mages, they're probably just fine. You want to play Swain, do it. You want to play Syndra, do it. I guess Mel is S tier, is not A tier, so not all of the AP champions are in A tier, but I do think that, yeah, they're fine if you really want to have an AP champion. I feel like if you are Master Plus, you want to have an AP champion in the pool because you basically surprise the enemies a lot by having a Cassiopeia or a Syndra, and it's very, very good flexibility. But for low elo, I personally think that it's better to focus on learning in the game and improving the fundamentals, and learning AP champions is toxic to the game and to your gameplay. Just because they have different playstyle, and the playstyle of Mel is completely different with the playstyle of a normal traditional AD carry. It's fine to learn it. I think it can kind of develop your game sense, but I don't think I would personally recommend it for players below Emerald. Varus is very underrated right now. If you're really gonna see his win rate, he's kinda underrated. I think that he's fine. He's definitely in A tier. He can play on hit, you can play AP, you can play Lethality. He's a very underrated champion. If you know how to play Varus, I think you should be fine. Is he better? I think he's better than all of these champions, to be completely honest. I don't think he's the best champion in A tier. We're gonna have a lot of other champions in A tier. If you want to main Varus as a first champion, I think he's fine. He's definitely better than Caitlyn, and I personally think that if you master him, he's even better than Kai'Sa. So I think he could be very good because you can play aggressive with Varus, you have a lot of range, you have an ability to actually engage in the team fights as well, so you kind of have to understand when to engage and when to back off, you know. Having the ability to initiate a fight is going to improve your game sense, because you're going to have a lot of situations where you try to ult in aggressive and then you die or you do something stupid and you learn of it. And you know, if you play, for example, Zeri, you don't have that thing, because you can't just go frontline and go in like 1v5. Like with Varus, you can play for picks, you can have other playstyles. Okay, Aphelios. Aphelios is a very niche pick. I personally think he's a very good champion. Every time when I play against Aphelios or with Aphelios one-trick ponies, even when they are inting, whether it's Grandmaster, Masters, Diamond, and even in low elo, if they actually even in the game, I do personally feel like, maybe I'm completely delusional, but I feel like he's better than Caitlyn, he's better than Zeri, and he's probably a little bit worse than Varus. I mean, okay, you can argue that, yes, but my people in my elo don't play Aphelios good, so he's a C tier champion. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that if you're really good on the champion, like if you're Master Plus and you play this champion, he's not that bad. He's not that bad. For low elo, I would not recommend it. I mean, there are some players that are better in low elo. They played StarCraft, they played like these mechanical games, and obviously it's easier for them to actually pick up the game. I would personally recommend him Aphelios MF or Aphelios Plus, a champion that, you know, helps you to learn the game faster. But if you really want to play him in low elo, you can. He's just going to slow down your progress, and that's why I recommend you to check out the coaching session, because the coaching session is truly going to help you to improve. So what you have on the screen right now is simply the people that didn't have influence in the game. They won the laning phase, but they didn't know how to win the game. They didn't know how to convert the lead. We've got people from silver, from gold, from grandmaster, from challenger. So many people that improved so hard. They climbed emerald 4 to diamond 2 in less than a month. So this is the proof that if this worked for them, if the program of coaching worked for them, it can work for you as well. So if you feel like you're stuck, you want to improve in the game, you're serious about getting better, and you want to start getting influence in the game on the role you love, go to BIZYZE.com, guys, book your coaching session, and I'll see you there. Absolutely amazing, and the tips are going to be adapted to your gameplay and your rank. Sivir. Sivir is actually quite good champ. Worse than Varus, worse than Aphelios. I mean, I don't know if he's worse than Zeri, but it's definitely in this line. Zeri, Sivir, Caitlyn. It's like pretty similar. I think it's mid-A. She is a fine champion. I don't think she's a bad champion at all. If you really want to have her in your pool, you can. I feel like you should have a safe pick. Sivir is a bit bad into like range champions, but in low elo, if you really want a safe pick, you can consider going for Sivir. The only thing that I don't like at her is that her wave clear, it might develop bad patterns to you. I see a lot of low elo players that I coach, when they play Sivir, they always have this thing of, oh, I'm gonna stay one more wave, because, you know, they have the wave clear, and every time when they stay for one more wave, or most of the cases when they stay for one more wave, it's bad and they shouldn't have stayed. And if they play a different champion with less wave clear, they wouldn't have stayed for that wave extra. So she might develop some bad patterns, but she's definitely a good champion to have worth in your champion pool. Another champion that you can have in your champion pool is Ezreal. I don't personally think he's the best in the West in terms of the pool. I don't think he's like in this meta, he's probably B tier. He gets outscaled a lot. I played with Dragdar. I actually played against Dragdar, and he somehow makes it work even in high elo. So if you're super good, I do personally think he's in B tier. He's a very valuable champ to have in your pool, because if you have a pool of like MF, Jinx and Ezreal, you can always blind Ezreal. You're safe because he's such a safe champion. It's just hard to recommend for low elo, because low elo players, they don't really have the mechanics to actually pull him off. So I do think that if you're Diamond Plus and you don't have Ezreal in your champion pool, you might consider picking him up. He is a decent champion. Yeah, but in low elo, it's probably hard to recommend, right? Okay, Kalista. It's like Aphelios. If you're really good on Kalista, I do think that she's maybe the best champion in B tier. She's starting to be better and better because the other champions got nerfed. But if you're pretty bad and if you're like below master tier, you should never touch this champion. She's too hard, not rewarding. You need setup, you need support. It's super hard to play. I think that she's realistically in B tier, maybe a bit worse than Ezreal, a bit worse than Vayne, or a bit better than Vayne. Somewhere here, you guys choose. But I personally think that, yeah, I don't never pick this champion if you're low elo. Nilah, a counter pick. If they have a lot of auto attackers, you can always consider picking her up if they don't have a lot of CC, if they don't have a lot of range. Because if you pick this into Alistar, you're useless. If you pick this into Syndra, you're useless. You can never get to them. But if you picked into long range, like short range, and champions with a lot of auto attacks, then she might be pretty good in the game, like for you, right? And I would say that it's the same thing with Xayah. If you see that in the enemy draft, they have like a lot of assassins or melee champions. Like you see Fizz mid lane, and then on jungle they have like Kiana, they have Pantheon top lane. They have a lot of melee champions that they need to go in order for them to do something. Xayah is a great champion if you can actually use her ultimate. So I would say that Nilah and Xayah picked in every situation. They are B tier. If you want to pick them every game, no matter what. If you pick them in the good situation, they're probably A tier. I don't think they're amazing, but you can make them work, especially if you pick them in the right draft. Samira, it's kind of like the same thing with Nilah. Very similar. It's that if you can actually block skill shots with her W, like if the enemy team has lots of champions that rely on hitting one ability that is a projectile, like Elise Cocoon and stuff like that, then Samira could be fine, but I'd never recommend Nilah and Samira for the low elo. Just because they're hard to pull it off. They have very different playstyle compared to a traditional ADC. They're just very bad to learn the game from. I just usually recommend Xayah if you really want to pick up like a counter champion in your draft. So what do we have more here? Lucian. I do think that Lucian is kind of good. He's pretty underrated at the moment. I do think that he's also amazing for low elo. He's pretty rewarding for low elo as well. Teaches you the game because you can play aggressive, you can play defensive. The fact that you have a dash, that means you have the ability to choose whether you go in or not. The difference between playing a Lucian or playing Zeri is that with Zeri you just... Or like, yeah, with Zeri you basically play safe. You have really low damage early game, but with Lucian you have more damage. So I do think that is a good champion to pick up. He's probably like a little bit better than Caitlyn, and a little bit better than Sivir, and a little bit better than Lucian, than Zeri. Maybe so. Yeah, I don't think he's better than Varus, but yeah, it's around this. Okay, what else? Jinx. I do think that Jinx, I mean, she got nerfed, but she's one of the most amazing champions for low elo and also high elo to have. She's very good in the meta. For high elo, you gotta be careful because if they have like Jarvan and champions that can kill you really easily, she's a bit iffy. But for the low elo, honestly, MF, Jinx, like this is champions that not only they will help you to carry the game, they will help you to learn the game. They are very simple, and if you don't win on them while you are fed, you are just boosted. Like you can't blame it on the champion. I just love champions like that. Tristana is exactly the same thing. I do think that Tristana, Jinx, MF, they're the best in this meta, and they're very rewarding champions, and they also help you to learn the game faster. So it's absolutely insane. In high elo, it's a bit hard because there are some matchups that you lose, but in low elo, if you're really good on Trist, you can anyways recover, and she's definitely a great champion. Corki is a bit like, I don't know what to say. Like some people think he's really good, some people think he's really bad. I think that he's also a really good champion for low elo to pick it up because it's quite simple, and he also works in blind picks because he doesn't really have bad matchups. Really, so I would personally put him higher than Varus, maybe the best champion in A tier. I don't think I should put him S tier. I don't think he deserves it. He tries to be there, but he never gets to S tier. He is A tier and maybe even mid A tier, but I don't think he is ever getting to S tier. Ashe, yeah, like Ashe, Corki, MF, Jinx, all of these champions are very good for low elo. I would say that MF, Jinx are the best, and then Tristana, and then Corki the second best, and then Ashe third best. I don't personally recommend Ashe for low elo players that much. She's not bad for sure, but she's not the best, top-notch, best champions to learn the game. Ashe, I think for high elo, she's a good champion to have. She's very valuable in the draft, especially if you play pick comp. You have Xerath mid lane. Like her low elo, she's a good champion to have in the pool as a secondary or a third champ. Even as a first champ is not that bad. I do think that she's not quite getting into S tier, even though she's pretty close. Like I don't disagree if you guys think she's S tier, but I do think she's probably the best champion in A tier. I don't think she gets to S tier. When do I pick Ashe? One, I pick Ashe when I have minimum 2 champions that can follow up my my ulti. Like if I see I have Ashe and we have Zerat on the mid lane, I am going to pick this champion because I know that I can. I don't know why Zerat is not on the mid laners. I know that if I ulti, Zerat can just ulti right away. And if we have a Pantheon or a Talia in the jungle, it's even better. So if I have 2 champions or if I have minimum 1 champion that can follow up my ulti, she's good. If I know that I see the enemy team and they have a lot of champions, minimum 2 champions that I can get free kills on them. If I hit my ulti, like if I ult Soraka, she's dead no matter what, she can't do anything. Same with Twitch, she needs to go cleanse, and same with Orianna. But if I see champions that have like Lissandra, Galio mid lane, it's pretty hard to really do that, to hit him. They have like Sivir into the support and they have Nautilus. Who am I gonna ult? Because I can't ult Sivir, I can't ult Nautilus, I can't ult Galio. So in these cases, I don't really pick Ashe, and I also don't like to pick Ashe when they have assassins, of course. Draven, if you're one trick pony, he's, I mean, probably for like the last 2 years, 3 years, just so fucking good champion. If you want to pick one champion for your whole life and play, just pick Draven. You need to have kind of good mechanics and you need to know your limits because he's a bit different compared to the playstyle of a traditional AD carry. But whether you're low elo or high elo, if you play this champion and that's it, you should be fine. Again, there are other players that can't improve on Draven. If it's low elo and you can't improve on Draven, he's not the... I mean, if you know the game really well and then you play Draven, you will climb and he is very rewarding. But if you don't know the game and you want to learn it, it's probably a hard champion to learn the game with, right? So that's what I would say, that if you're Draven main and you're stuck, you should reach out for some coaching. You should try to reach out for some help because it's gonna be... Yeah, it's gonna be pretty hard to learn the game. Okay, Twitch. I think Twitch is fine. He's not top of my recommendation for low elo. He's actually one of the worst champions for low elo because he forces you to make coin flip. The fact that you have your Q and you can be invisible, it forces many players to, you know, be aggressive when they shouldn't, to go for roams that they shouldn't exist. I just coached yesterday a Diamond 2 player on Twitch and he was completely boosted because he just went for a lot of coin flips. So I do think that he's not a champion that will teach you the game. If you really want to play him, sure, try to pair him up maybe with a champion that is like better for learning the game, but I would think that he deserves B tier. Another champion that deserves B tier is Smolder. I do think that Smolder is kind of decent if you want as a second or a third champion, but he's definitely weaker than any other things. He's fine blind pick, so it's not bad to pick it up. He's better than Twitch, I would say. I think it's like B here, maybe even low A, but probably B. Jhin, absolutely insane champion. You should pick him. I mean, he is very bad champion. Like from my experience as a coach, and I coach a lot of players playing Jhin, and as you guys probably know, I also coach players from gold, they got to diamond, they got to emerald. I coach players from master tier, I coach players from iron, and the worst players that I ever coached is probably Jhin players, Twitch players, Ezreal players, champions that don't have auto attacks on AD carry because they were slow, they play locked camera, so Jhin is very rewarding and very good, but if you're below emerald, your mechanics are probably bad, so you should not pick him because he's just developing bad patterns to you. Just as an AD carry, you need to think in the game, right? So when you play Jhin, when I see Jhin players, like if I play, for example, Twitch, or if I play Vayne, to know if I should go into a team fight, I need to kind of track the abilities that are being used, right? So if they have a blitzcrank, I need to see the hook. If they have like, I need to think about something, right? So I can't just go in the fight and fight. But with Jhin, all what you do is you back off, you turn your ulti, and you don't need to think about anything. This is one example that I gave you. It's hundreds of examples with why is Jhin a bad champion, a toxic champion for your learning, but a very rewarding. If you know how to play League of Legends and you play him, he's definitely a great champion right now. But I don't know, do you want to be the guy that climbs but doesn't actually know enough about the game, or doesn't like climbs more than he's actually deserving to? But I mean, who am I to judge? Jhin is a good champion right now, 100%. Senna, dog shit champion, don't play Senna. Yunara, pretty good A tier. I think she's okay for low elo as well. I don't know what opinion I should have on Yunara, but she's definitely a good champion right now. I do think she's A tier with Corki, Ashe, Yunara. I think they're very close. And that is pretty much the tier list. I don't know if I did forget about anyone at all. Let me know, guys, how you like it, and if you enjoyed it, let me know. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Be sure to check out my Twitch, because I stream on Twitch 6 days per week on AD carry with AD carry concepts, coaching, and amazing SoloQ Grandmaster Master SoloQ. So guys, twitch.tv BIZYZE lol, check that out. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time. $5. If you have problems improving and getting better in the game faster but cannot afford booking coaching, on my Patreon you can access more than 627 VOD reviews, premium videos about how to wave management, mid-game macro, and tier lists that will show you the best champions to climb and to improve for your elo. And these are not on YouTube, this is only on Patreon, they're exclusive. Moreover, you can participate in the free coaching waiting list to get a premium VOD review. I'm giving away 2 free VOD reviews every single week. All what you need to do is simple 2-step process. Subscribe to my Patreon and share your OPGG, and voila, you are on the waiting list. You're gonna get a personalized VOD review for any game in your match history. For just $5, you get not only the free VOD review, but a whole bunch of exclusive benefits that will supercharge your gaming experience. It's a small investment for a big return. And it's just $5, it's no brainer, right? But here is the deal, you've got to act quickly. The waiting list is already filling up fast. 55 people already subscribed to the Patreon, and there are 6 people that they already are on board, they are on the waiting list. And more are joining every moment. Now, do you want to secure your spot for a free VOD review? Go ahead on my Patreon and reserve it right now.